Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Mass Effect 3, what will likely be the final installment. So, I did cut ahead a little bit through a lot of the conversation that elaborated on a lot of the situation with the Reapers and many of the excuses, but you've already seen all of that. It did touch on you have the option to destroy everything. So I'm going to once again let the child here explain the details about the destruction of everything.
What exactly will happen?
Your crucible device appears to be largely intact. However, the effects of the blast will not be constrained to the Reapers. Technology you rely on will be affected, but those who survive should have little difficulty repairing the damage. There will still be losses, but no more than what has already been lost.
So, this child makes this sound really unappealing. You will lose all synthetics, including, it kind of glosses over the fact that you'll be able to repair a lot of the damage, but notice that it talks about all synthetics. That would include the Geth, and that would include Edie.
But the Reapers will be destroyed?
Yes, but the peace won't last. Soon, your children will create synthetics, and then the chaos will come back.
Look at how unappealing he makes it sound.
Way.
There is.
Of course.
You can instead use the energy of the Crucible to seize control of the Reapers.
We are given that option as well. To seize control of the Reapers.
So the elusive man was right after all.
Yes, but he could never have taken control, because we already controlled him.
Interesting point there.
But I can?
You will die. You will control us, but you will lose everything you have.
See, that kind of sounds suspicious. Notice how he immediately made the destroy option sound about as miserable as it possibly can. And then, oh yeah, no, you can totally control us. I mean, he couldn't because we controlled him, but like you're totally immune to all of this. You'll be fine being able to control all of it.
How can I control the Reapers if I'm dead?
Your corporeal form will be dissolved, but your thoughts and even your memories will continue.
Okay, so you're what, doing
Your
a brain
connection
scan
to your
somehow?
kind will be lost, though you will remain aware of their existence.
So, this sounds pretty positive. You control the Reapers, which would obviously stop the onslaught and would stop the harvesting. But it seems a little odd that part of the price you pay to do so is to lose your corporeal form. Why is that something that's necessary? I don't think they ever actually explain why it's necessary that you, as a person, have to die. And they don't really explain how you get your memories grafted in such a way so as to be able to control the Reapers.
But the Reapers will obey me?
Yes. We will be yours to control and direct as you see fit.
And yet she seems
There is
conflicted.
another solution. Synthesis.
I did already kind of go into why synthesis
Add your energy to the crucibles.
doesn't seem like it would
The
logistically
chain
work.
reaction will combine all synthetic and organic life into a new framework. A new DNA.
Notice when she asks how, he doesn't exactly elaborate.
Explain how my energy can be added to the Crucible.
Your organic energy, the essence of who and what you are, will be broken down and then dispersed.
So, very similar to what happened
To
on
do
the...
what, exactly?
The energy of the crucible, released in this way, will alter the matrix of all organic life in the galaxy. Organics seek perfection through technology. Synthetics seek perfection through understanding. Organics will be perfected by integrating fully with synthetic technology. Synthetics, in turn, will finally have full understanding of organics. It is the ideal solution. Now that we know it is possible, it is inevitable we will reach synthesis.
Why couldn't you do it sooner?
We have tried a similar solution in the past, but it has always failed.
Why?
Because the organics were not ready. It is not something that can be forced. You are ready, and you may choose it.
So, this is the solution that the catalyst is pushing the hardest for. And it makes it seem like it's so appealing. And it sounds great, like an actual synthesis that will end the war and achieve true understanding between all organics and synthetics. Such a thing that has literally existed since before the dawn of humanity, since the dawn of understanding, of consciousness, from most of anything that's existed in this cycle, and in fact for most of the previous cycles of the Reapers harvesting all organics. To finally end this multi-cycle over, 50,000 years multiplied by however many cycles there are, it is so appealing. It sounds so good. And it sounds like the perfect solution.
I don't know.
Why not? Synthetics are already part of you. Can you imagine your life without them?
And there will be peace?
The cycle will end. The Reapers will cease their harvest, and the civilizations preserved in their forms will be connected to all of us.
It sounds perfect.
Synthesis is the final evolution of all life.
And yet...
The paths are open, but you have to choose.
Now, there is an option here, now that I actually have control. And I can't save here, either. If you wanted to do the refuse ending, you could turn your gun on the kid, but I don't personally recommend it. You can see the war still raging in the world around us, in the space around us. So, I mentioned before, I'm going to be doing this in the order of the options that I prefer the least up to the ones that I prefer the most. Now, a lot of these are subject to debate. The first one that I'm going to go with is the control option, which is on the left. I like this option as well. I like some of the ideas that it puts forward. The idea of actually being the one to come in and take control. I dislike it because it has been warned against since the very first game. It is something that we see Saren fall victim to, and we see the Elusive Man fall victim to it as well. I don't believe that this is the path that Shepard should go down, especially when there is, in fact, still a question... where'd the kid go? Oh, it's still there. Okay. A question of how real this all is, especially with as surreal as everything is around them. So... we are committing to, in this path, controlling the Reapers. And there's going to be a very specific ending that will play out as a result of the choices of this particular choice. And so, I think at this point, the other options, I can't even move away from it anymore. I have to take control. And so Shepard agrees to take control of the Reapers. How this works still doesn't quite make sense. The body disintegrates. This is a little, brutal to watch. But we flash back on all of the people that we've lost. The people that we care about, the people that have led us to this point. Shepard effectively becomes... oh, Garrus. Becomes the new catalyst, absorbed into the essence of what makes the Reapers what they are.
All fleets. The Crucible is armed. Disengage and head to the rendezvous point. I repeat, disengage and get the hell out of here.
Look, I know. But we have to. Damn it.
Yeah. And And so an energy is released from the Citadel, from the Catalyst, from the Crucible. And we get to see the immediate effects. The war on the ground. By the way, I love this music piece. The energy washes over everything. And the Reapers withdraw. Same with the Reaper forces. They almost run away in fear. And then the arms close again. The mass relay system is used and broken. Or at least pretty badly damaged. But the signal is sent through the mass relays to all of the Reapers across the galaxy. They are seized by the energy, and they withdraw. The fights on all of the fronts suddenly become a victory for organics. And so, the Normandy is on some sort of remote planet somewhere. Apparently, depending on your war assets, you get different people that show up in the scene. It'll always be Joker first out. And then other people that you have interacted with the most in your missions, I believe. So naturally, Garrus is going to be there. So it does keep track of how many times you've interacted with various members of the team, and of course, this is my love interest for this playthrough. And I took him on every goddamned fucking mission. Save, like, one or two. Well...
eternal, infinite, immortal. The woman I was used these words. But only now do I truly understand them. And only now do I understand the full extent of her sacrifice. Through her death, I was created. Through my birth, her thoughts are freed. They guide me now. Give me reason. Direction. Just as she gave direction to the ones who followed her. The ones who helped her achieve her purpose. Now my purpose.
So, giving little insights into the resolution for all of the stories. Samara and her remaining daughter.
To give the many hope for a future. To ensure that all have a voice in their future.
Baby Krulligan.
The woman I was knew that she could only achieve this by becoming something greater. There is power in control. There is wisdom in harnessing the strengths of your enemy. I will rebuild what the many have lost. I will create a future with limitless possibilities. I will protect and sustain. I will act as guardian for the many. And throughout it all, I will never forget. I will remember the ones who sacrificed themselves so that the many could survive.
But unfortunately, Shepard did not survive. Even this entity speaking as Shepard has acknowledged that the woman they once were no longer is. Once again, it is usually your love interest that is here to do this. Commemorating both
And
Anderson
I will watch over the ones who live on.
and Shepard.
Those who carry the memory of the woman I once was.
Oh, Garrus.
The woman who gave up her life to become the one who could save the many.
Eventually, the Normandy is repaired. But it is very interesting how completely dissociated Shepard is from who they once were. This doesn't feel like my Shepard. This does not feel like Clara. This does not feel like how she acted. It is so cold, so distant. It remembers, sure, but it's not her. Anyway, I'm going to be back in just a moment with the final bit of the cutscene here. But I will see you when it's time to actually, well, for the last little bit. You saw it kind of before, but another variation of it. Anyway, one moment. bringing us in just before this last little cutscene. Slightly different.
Did that all really happen?
Yes, but some of the details have been lost in time. It all happened so very long ago.
When can I go to the stars?
One day, my sweet.
What will be there?
Anything you can imagine. Our galaxy has billions of stars. Each of those stars could have many worlds. Every world could be home to a different form of life. And every life is a special story of its own.
Tell me another story about the Shepherd.
It's getting late, but okay. One more story.
So obviously the impact is that this cycle was the last one. And once again, we are brought back here. Back to the Normandy. Well, so I like how that plays out. I like the implications, but I honestly believe that it feeds into a larger story idea, one that I've been kind of hinting at throughout this episode so far. Alright, not my favorite ending. I don't believe that it does either my character justice or the path that she was on justice. But, well, I'm going to be right back once I get us back to that point where it's time to make the decision again. I don't think there's really anything more for me to rehash along the path along the way. So, I will merely continue once... I will bring us back when it's time to make that decision between the last two endings. Hope to see you in a second, guys. Alright, and we are finally back. I mean, for you it was probably an instant, but for me that took a little while. It takes about as long as it does to show you guys in the previous videos, so... there's no really way to skip the cutscenes. So, we are down to the last couple of endings that are available in this game. They have... the thing is, okay, so I said I was going to be doing these in order of how much I like them and how canon I feel they are. Obviously, the game pushes very strongly for synthesis, especially if you have your, effective military strength really up, and everything along those lines, and, the narrative from the catalyst is that that's what you should be doing. Pardon while I hit this here. The thing is, I actually alternate between choosing whether or not destroy or synthesis is the better option. I think they're both pretty well up there for me, and I'm going to elaborate a lot more on why. I'm going to show you, however, synthesis first. It's the one that has, I think, the most emotionally satisfying conclusion, especially for Clara Shepard. It is the choice that Clara Shepard specifically would make in this case. This is a choice that she would make because if it promises peace, if it promises finally a world without wars between the organics and the synthetics and just peace in general, then that's the world that she's always wanted to construct for Garrus. So you can go back to Mass Effect 2 when Liara asks, is that what you want for Garrus? And yeah, that's what Shepard says. That what she wants is peace for Garrus so that he doesn't have to always be on edge. Finally give him a rest, give him a break from all of this. It's the one that I would choose in a role-playing sense. That in this situation, trusting that all of our senses are indeed correct. That... yeah. She would choose synthesis. So I'm going to go down this path, and I'm going to show you what synthesis is. And it is one of my favorites. Like I said, it's hard to choose between the two of them. I actually had a very long debate with myself about whether or not I wanted the final ending that I showcased to be Synthesis or to be the Destroy ending. But, like I said, I have my reasons for why Synthesis comes before Destroy. So she throws herself into the beam, allows herself to be dissolved, much like in the Control ending. In fact, very similar animations to what happens to her. She is disintegrated, dispersed. Very nearly identical animations. But it sends a signal to the
All fleets,
to the Crucible.
The Crucible is armed. Disengage and head to the rendezvous point. I repeat, disengage and get the hell out of here.
So you may notice that there are some similarities when it comes to the ending cutscene,
know.
regardless of what choice you make.
But we have to.
This has led to much criticism of the game's endings. There are a lot of things where it feels almost like it plays out exactly the same regardless of what choice you make. And in fact, in the original cut of the game, I do like that the feel of this feels more organic, as opposed to the electric blue of the Control ending. This feels a lot more like some sort of living energy. And I like that effect. But before the extended cut DLC, which was released following the original release of this game, you didn't really see the impact of your choice that clearly. They added some cutscenes to make it much more clear the kind of differences that were there. The same sort of thing seems to happen here. The energy cascades over the world, and in turn, the Reapers withdraw. Of course, in this case, there is a different color. However, there is a difference in how it plays out in this cutscene. Again, just as before, you see the troops being overrun, reaching the limits of their energy. The wave hits them. And here, there's understanding. There isn't fear. The Reaper forces aren't withdrawing, or, well, the foot soldiers aren't. They looked back with knowledge, intelligence even. This energy is sent out to the mass relays. And just like with the Control ending, there is some damage to the mass relays. But they're not, well, destroyed. And this energy is scattered throughout the universe to all of the various fronts. But we see some different reactions here as well. And as you can see, the Turians, for example, you see that their eyes are now highlighted with the green. In fact, as are their bodies. Same thing with the Krogan. Once again, the Reapers are withdrawing. But now everything has a creepy green glow to it. But once again, the Normandy is attempting to outrun it. can see the very slight tinge of synthetic circuits embedded in the plants. Indeed, all organic life now has synthetic improvement. Once again, the Normandy has crash-landed. I mean, I can't really blame it. That was a pretty intense thing that it was trying to escape from. But there will be a slight difference here as well. Joker still emerges. But he's got that green patterning over his skin as well. His eyes also glowing. And Edie also shares this strange green circuitry. And the two of them are affectionate with each other. Hi, Garrus. Sorry, you were a little, secondary, I suppose, this time. Oh good, texture flickering in the distance. And this was again one of the added scenes for the extended cut DLC, to help explain the differences a little bit better.
I am alive. All of us, synthetic and organic, have been changed. The war is over, and the Reapers are helping to rebuild. Where once they threatened us with extinction, they now bring us the collective knowledge of the cultures that came before. As a galaxy, we can now live the lives we have wished for.
So even in these little similar cutscenes in the end, you see the effects of the synthesis. The new textures. Everything is now touched by this. Kasumi is apparently far
Taking
more
our
integrated
first
with the
steps
digital
into a
world.
new and wonderful future, where organics and synthetics can coexist peacefully. With peace across the galaxy and with unlimited access to knowledge. To recover the greatness that was lost. And surpass it.
Because again, we're using the
We
Reaper's
will
ancient
reclaim our
knowledge.
worlds and the stars. As the line between synthetic and organic disappears, we may transcend mortality itself. To reach a level of existence I cannot even imagine. And we will remember that this chance for a new life did not come without cost.
Once again, the effects of synthesis on everyone. But Shepard is still gone. sure that Garrus would have preferred that Shepard not be gone for this, but she did always want peace for him.
No matter how far we advance, we will remember the sacrifices of those who made it possible. And we will remember Shepard. Because of her, I am alive, and I am not alone.
I do like that they had Edie narrating that. Hers was definitely the journey most associated and connected with the idea of surpassing the limits of being a synthetic artificial intelligence. And in this ending, she achieves it, thanks to the choice of Shepard at the end there. I like this ending for a lot of reasons. As I said, emotionally satisfying. You get to not only end the war, but to bring out the true, full potential of what the Reapers are, to access all of that knowledge that they've harvested and to finally integrate that into the organic world in such a way that the organics no longer have to be wiped out. But here's my problem with it. I don't believe that we can trust Shepard's senses at the end of the game. I don't believe that we are actually privy to the reality of the situation. I believe wholeheartedly that what we are experiencing at the end is late stages of indoctrination. There's been a lot of talk of this over the years, since this game came out. And there's something called the indoctrination theory. It's something that goes by the idea that Shepard is, by this point in the game, indoctrinated. It's the idea that her reality has been affected by being around Reapers and Reaper forces so much over the course of these 3 games. I mean, there's been significant exposure, even if only at the end of Mass Effect 2 through Arrival, when she is deliberately overexposed to a Reaper artifact. Oh yes, by the way, during the last segment, Buzz Aldrin voices the Stargazer. A nice little nod there. I wanted to say that. Anyway. Everything from the flashes of white to the dream sequences being what they are, being so manipulative towards being sympathetic towards the image of this child. This one that we were introduced to in the beginning that, once again, only Shepard seems capable of interacting with. I feel like the game audio might be drowning me out, and I worry about that. Anyway, I don't believe that... Well, there are many videos, many breakdowns of exactly how it can be proven that Shepard is likely indoctrinated. I'm actually going to read for you the Codex on Reaper indoctrination. Reaper indoctrination is an insidious means of corrupting organic minds, reprogramming the brain through physical and psychological conditioning using electromagnetic fields, infrasonic and ultrasonic noise, and other subliminal methods. The Reaper's resulting control over the limbic system leaves the victim highly susceptible to its suggestions. Organics undergoing indoctrination may complain of headaches and buzzing or ringing in their ears. As time passes, they have feelings of being watched and hallucinations of ghostly presences. Ultimately, the Reaper gains the ability to use the victim's body to amplify its signals, manifesting as alien voices in the mind. Indoctrination can create perfect deep cover agents. A Reaper's suggestions can manipulate victims into betraying friends, trusting enemies, or viewing the Reaper itself with superstitious awe. Should a Reaper subvert a well-placed political or military leader, the resulting chaos can bring down nations. Long-term physical effects of the manipulation are unsustainable. Higher mental functioning decays, ultimately leaving the victim a gibbering animal. Rapid indoctrination is possible, but this causes decay in days or weeks. Slow, patient indoctrination allows the thrall to last for months or years. I think they even cover in the game itself that the slow indoctrination of Shepard, or anyone, is so much preferable because it leaves your higher senses, your higher faculties intact. It gives your ability to use your intelligence to the Reaper's advantage intact. And that is far more desirable, especially when you're trying to use a figure that is well respected and well beloved, especially for their intelligence and their cunning and their resourcefulness. So, we are in a position where Shepard would have been the perfect candidate to be indoctrinated. And in fact, the Reapers become obsessed with Shepard, Harbinger in particular, especially once they take notice. Everything seems singularly focused on Shepard, including the fact that Shepard has caught their notice, just as a whole. Everything seems more towards pushing the idea that Shepard should work for the Reapers, and the dreams with the white flashes, the oily figures, the constant whispers, the ringing, the buzzing, even in moments where Shepard wakes up, and especially as they're moving through, just that whole sequence at the end, there's this faint buzzing and ringing, indicating that, very strongly, there's a good chance that Shepard is already indoctrinated. And if Shepard is indeed already indoctrinated, that would explain that whole sequence between Anderson and the Elusive Man. Because if they were not truly there, but simply levels of their own consciousness, of Shepard's own consciousness, arguing with them to try and resist indoctrination, then that scene makes even more sense than just those characters interacting the way that they did. And the sequence that follows, where once again Shepard is lifted into a white light. I think the music is getting poised to start drowning me out for good. But the evidence for indoctrination is very strong. I do recommend looking up indoctrination theory discussions. And this is why I don't trust the synthesis ending, even as much as I feel that it connects to Clara Shepard's story the most strongly. It would be exactly what she would want, and the way that it plays out in the end is, well, exactly what she would want for her loved ones, particularly Garrus. Once again, here we are.
Did that all really happen?
Yes, but some of the details have been lost in time. It all happened so very long ago.
When can I go to the stars?
One day, my sweet.
What will be there?
Anything you can imagine. Our galaxy has billions of stars.
I do kind of
Each
like the
those
idea.
Stars could have many worlds. Every world
Of closing
could be
off
home
this whole story
to a
with the
different
huge
form of
potential
life.
of the
And
galaxy
every
we live
life
in.
is a special story of its own.
Tell me another story about the Shepherd.
It's getting late, but okay. One more story.
So, I believe that since we see both control and synthesis dissolve what's left of Shepard, and paint these idyllic versions of what would happen if she made those choices, I believe that they are both the end result of indoctrination. Absorbing the rest of Shepard into the Reapers to be able to control the rest of humanity, the rest of the organic forces. I mean, look at how many of them were rallied around her. And imagine what damage they could do if they had someone as ingenious as Shepard on their side. As cunning, as clever, as resourceful, and as strong-willed. And having done it so slowly over the course of 2 or 3 years, would leave a lot of the higher faculties intact, but just controlled. Anyway, I'm going to be right back once again. I'm going to go through that entire process again to take us back to the choice and to take us through the final ending. So be right back. And we're back. So, it's interesting, and I want to add that it adds to the point that this is most likely indoctrination in its final stages, is that they want Shepard to choose. They want Shepard to choose. Most obviously, they lean towards either control or synthesis. Synthesis is the obvious, oh, this is the final stage of evolution for everything, but in both cases, Shepard loses themselves. And it's interesting also that they've coded these. This is relatively bright blue here, that's blue over there, and that's red there. Now, throughout the series, obviously blue has been associated with Paragon choices, and red has been with the Renegade. If you're someone who plays more towards the Paragon, both of these are just visually going to be what you're drawn towards. And there's a grain of truth to the idea that, obviously, if you're choosing, the control option, when you're someone who lives as a Paragon to others, you want to be in a position over others so that you can help them. But ultimately, I'm going to be choosing Destroy as my final and official canon choice for Clara Shepard at the end of this series. Because it's what the goal has been since the beginning. Destroy the Reapers. End their threat. And a couple of other reasons that will make more sense once we see the cutscene at the very end. But they want me to fire on it. I can't back away now, by the way. I can't walk. I am trapped into this now. But other than the fact that I believe that this is very clearly indoctrination, there's compelling evidence to believe that this might be our best solution overall. I do not want to see Edie die. I don't want to see the Geth die. Oh, yeah, this indicates again that Edie is going to be lost as a result of this choice. That this is the energy that we will be sending out into the galaxy, the destruction of the Citadel. This energy colors the Crucible.
All fleets. The Crucible is armed. Disengage and head to the rendezvous
And once
point.
again, we see nearly identical
I
cutscene.
repeat, disengage and get the hell out of here.
Look, I know. But we have to. Damn it.
I also want to point out that when you utterly refuse to play by the Catalyst's game, that the Catalyst straight up goes complete Reaper voice on you. I like again also that this energy feels different, more fiery as opposed to alive. I know again, a texture does not necessarily change much. But this feels a lot more like a very complex explosion of energy. And once again, we return to the action on Earth, where the battle is at a very crux point. And the energy that we have chosen to release into this battle, into this galaxy, is one where we destroy the Reapers at long last. Something we have been building to for 3 games. So here, they do not retreat. Here, the Reapers fall. Synthetic entities will now fall. At least insofar as we've been led to believe. And it is entirely possible that, in fact, this choice does lead to the destruction of the Reapers, which is why it was so heavily resisted by the Catalyst. And there's a possibility that the choice still also led to the destruction of synthetics, or even synthetic energy. But, again, it's hard to say, because I'm still not sure how much we can actually trust. Oh, and you saw that destroyed the Citadel. And we're going to see massive destruction of the mass relays as well. It's not going to be a minor destruction, it's going to be straight up... These things are never going to operate again. Alright, well that looked very similar to the same cutscene, I know, same colors, but... The idea in this is that the mass relays are in fact being destroyed. The Reapers are defeated. The various organic species start to celebrate. The various races across the galaxy that banded together are finally getting to celebrate the destruction of the Reapers, which have hounded them for so long. Ever since the return of Sovereign nearly 3 years ago. And in this case, destructive energy, pure destructive energy, makes sense to try and escape. Sure how the destruction of the Reapers is connected to all synthetics. I suppose there's an idea that this could be like an electromagnetic pulse of some kind or something along those lines that actually does go out and actually destroy all synthetic material, everything that has been constructed, all AI and everything like that, but it still seems a little far-fetched to believe that something that is directly connected to the Reapers themselves, their technology, is something that would go out and destroy all synthetics. All of the Geth, and as well as Edie. Another reason why I don't really believe that we can trust what the Catalyst is saying. Because of course he's gonna make it sound bad. Of course he's going to say, you know, all synthetics are going to be destroyed as a result of this. I mean, and even though you destroy them, you know, your children will just make new ones, and there will be more chaos throughout the galaxy, and, you know, just paint the worst case possible scenario for the destruction of synthetics. But I believe that that's self-preservation. And if we buy into the idea that this was all about Shepard being indoctrinated, then it could have simply been the final resistance of Shepard before the end of the fight on Earth. And so, we see the results. Technology still exists. The mass relays, however, are probably destroyed and inaccessible.
The war is over. The Reapers have been defeated. Against all odds, and in the face of the greatest threat this galaxy has ever known, we survived.
That is a very destroyed mass relay.
We suffered many losses. The relays are severely damaged, but we won. This victory belongs to each of us. Every man, woman, and child. Every civilization. On every world.
Zaid.
Now, as we take our first steps toward restoring what we lost, we must remember what it took to win.
It can be hard to remember the kind of sacrifices.
This wasn't a
that were
victory by a single fleet, a single army, or even a single species. If this war has taught us anything, it is that we are at our strongest when we work together. And if we can put down our grievances long enough to stop something as powerful as the Reapers, imagine what we can achieve now that they are defeated.
The remnants of the
It will
Citadel.
take time, but we can rebuild everything that was destroyed. Our homes, our worlds, our fleets and defenses, all of this and more.
And there
Together,
he is.
we can build a future greater than any one of us could imagine. A future paid for by the sacrifices of those who fought and died alongside us. A future that many will never see.
And here's going to be a minor difference. Once again, we are faced with the wall of loss here. And once again, Garrus is holding a placard commemorating Shepard. But
And while we still have many challenges ahead of us, we can face them together. And we will honor those who died to give us that future.
he does not put it on the wall. The implication is that there is the belief that Shepard has survived. And more than just someone not putting a commemoration placard on the wall, there's this cutscene that only happens when you choose the Destroy. Something that is clearly meant to indicate Shepard breathing back in the rubble on Earth. How would Shepard have gotten there if they made it to the Citadel, which exploded? I mean, it's possible that Shepard survived a descent from that height back to Earth, but it's unlikely. Maybe the synthetics that helped to make up Shepard helped her survive. I don't know. There are many arguments that could be made, I suppose, but I am skeptical. I believe that this is the most canon choice in a lot of ways, because of that. Not just because of a gasp that could mean that Shepard is still alive, but because it is the ultimate resistance of what I believe to be the final stages of indoctrination. Somehow, we don't know, because again, we can't see what's going on outside of Shepard's experience, and I believe that her perspective is limited and unreliable. So, it's hard to know exactly what events happened outside of Shepard's little surreal excursion into the Citadel in what I believe to be an illusion. It's entirely possible that maybe she did somehow interact with the Citadel in some way, or that the Crucible did in fact have that final result. I admit, I don't know how it plays out otherwise. But I believe that if we find out more lore about the Mass Effect universe, we'll be able to know what actually happened to Shepard, and what happened with Shepard's choices. Either way, her choices have ended this endless cycles of harvesting of organics. And it's entirely possible that the struggle will start anew. It's entirely possible that someone will make another artificial intelligence and that there will be continued conflict. But if these people remember the lessons that they have learned, if these organic races that still exist remember what happened, if they recall what happened with the Geth and the perfect harmony that they were living with the Quarians towards the end there, if they remember that the conflict, the heart of conflict between organics and artificial intelligence is their mutual quest to try to understand, then perhaps true synthesis can be achieved in the future. And I believe that the threat of the Reapers was necessary to end. And I believe that they were acting in their own self-interest by trying to promote either the control or synthesis endings, because it allowed them to remain, and to remain in control. Anyway, there's a lot of discussion around this, and I suspect that I might be seeing some discussion around this. I do want to say that because there are many divergent opinions on the subject of these endings, as well as the philosophy around the endings, as well as the symbolism and everything else, and the fact that they left it so vague and they left it up to interpretation, that I've seen a lot of the discussion around the subject, and my patience for argument has been run very thin. I like this game. I like the endings. I believe that they construct a story in themselves, especially the choices that the developers made. I believe that there were some things that had to have been changed in the last minute, and I believe that there were some choices that they made that did not make things clear enough. And I believe that that is a failing of the writing. I believe that they did not indicate how to interpret what was going on. They left it open-ended, which can be good in some ways, but it just led to a lot of infighting. So, I will say this, you're free to disagree with me about my personal theory about how things played out in this game, but I'm really not interested in continuing the argument anymore at this point. It's been 5 years since this game came out. I have seen every iteration of the arguments that can be made. Everyone is free to be disappointed in the ending as they please. Everyone is free to interpret the endings as they please, and I encourage that as well. I think that these games are a phenomenal story. It is an adventure, and a lot of people feel like they were cheated out of their final choice, that it got boiled down to 3 different colors, and I'm not gonna blame anyone for feeling that way, because everything felt like it was building to something different, and we got something unexpected instead. So I don't want to be in a position of arguing with any of you. Like, everyone takes away from this what they will, but I love these games because they are an incredible thing to go through. I know it's taken me a while to go through all 3 games, I started this Let's Play series about 3 years ago. And you'd think that or 3 years ago, God. 5 years ago. And I regret not getting through them sooner. But it's been one hell of a journey. To see Clara Shepard start from not even so humble beginnings, and that this is where her journey has left. That things just folded in over and over and got worse and worse. I love that this game really and truly conveys the stress of dealing with such a wide-scale war. When all of the pressure was effectively put on one person to fix everything, because everyone could not set aside their differences long enough to deal with a galactic threat that was surely going to wipe them out. They felt that it was necessary to continue petty grievances, and you know, I've expressed over the course of this game why I disagree with many of these petty disagreements, and why, you know, it should not have been so much of a struggle, and yet it shows the fundamental flaw of, well, humanity, but I guess in this case all of organics, but sentient species, I suppose, that the small things are the things that we hold on to, the small grudges and the big grudges are the things that we hold on to because it's what we know. Even in the face of imminent danger that would collapse everything that we
really happen?
feel obligated to continue
Yes,
the same
but
arguments,
some of the details
to
have
argue
been
with each
lost
other.
in time.
There are many
It
things to
all
take away
happened
with, I
so
believe,
very
when it
long
comes to
ago.
even the discussion with the elusive man, fighting
can I
amongst
go to the
yourselves
stars?
instead of actually focusing on something that genuinely threatens
One
both
day, my
sides,
sweet,
and
What will be
focusing on the familiar problems
Anything
instead of
you can
addressing the
imagine.
scarier, bigger
our
picture.
galaxy has billions of stars.
I think there are so many layers to
Each
all
of
three
those
games.
stars could have many worlds.
And even without peeling back the
Every world
philosophies,
could be
even without
home
peeling
to
back,
a different form of life,
you know,
and every life is a special story.
all of the
its own.
symbolism and all of the possible interpretations.
Tell me another story about the shepherd.
It's a hell of a ride.
It's getting late, but okay.
You love
One
these
more
characters.
story.
You love the world that they live in. You love everything that they are and what they represent and what they change both in you and your characters and how you influence these characters. So, I want to thank you all for joining me from Mass Effect 1 till now. I don't know what to say about the Mass Effect Andromeda, because I'm not going to say that I'll never play it, but at this point in time, chances are incredibly slim that I'm going to find myself enjoying that style of game. It changes a lot of what I loved about the series, and I'm not sure. So I hate to leave it at that on an ambiguous note. But thank you so much for joining me as I play through Clara Shepard's story. And I hope, if nothing else, that we took this together. And that you genuinely feel connected to what I've tried to convey with these games. What I've tried to convey, especially with the last couple of episodes. Anyway, I'm going to be very emotional about finally ending this Let's Play, especially because it's been 5 years in the making. And I want to thank you all for your patience in the upload schedule. I want to thank you all for your endurance, for watching everything up until this point. I mean, you guys have no idea how much it means to me that you're still watching. I want to thank everyone who's been supporting me across these years, that have continued to support me even despite personal difficulties. And here's hoping that the next adventure I take you on will be just as engaging and emotional and even better. Thank you guys so much.